On a weekend when the Cup Series takes a break, it's the Busch Series' turn to shine. We bring you the big stage, the new faces, and the opportunity to sit on the pole at the Nashville Superspeedway. It's time to qualify Busch style. Chilly Nashville, Tennessee. Temperatures in the 30s. You see the cars all lined up. Qualifying about to start. And to get you ready, let's get to the top stories. We head down to the track. Here's Alan Beswick.
Eric, in a sport where sponsorship and success are codependent, every driver needs a little time in the spotlight. With the Nextel Cup Series off this weekend and a lot of the usual Nextel Cup invaders staying home, time in that spotlight is available here in Nashville for Busch Series drivers and teams. Question is, who's going to step up and grab that spotlight? We find out starting today in qualifying. Here's Vince Welch.
Well, one driver hoping that familiarity leads to success here today is Sam Hornish Jr. He's driving the Mobil 1 12 car for Team Penske. He has run here 6 times in an Indy car, and he's had success finishing as high as second, but he's found that this track is a little different animal than a stock car. He struggled in practice yesterday trying to find the comfort level with the race car and the balance in the corners. He was just 27th on the speed chart. Looks to improve that here in qualifying. Mike Massaro?
Vince, with second and third place drivers Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch taking the weekend off, point leader Carl Edwards knows this is a golden opportunity to extend his advantage. Edwards, while an overwhelming favorite, though, is not taking anything for granted and said there's a number of cars who can compete for today's pole. At the number ahead of his list is this car, the 41 of David Stremme, who he feels is the guy to beat. Jamie?
Well, Mike, Bobby Hamilton Jr. finds himself back at home here in Nashville, but today is an emotional one for him. It's the first time he's competed here since the passing of his father, Bobby Hamilton Sr. He has a lot of great racing memories with his father here, the best one coming in 2004 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, where Bobby Jr. thought he had it wrapped up, only to be passed by his father, who went on to win the race and the championship. Today, Bobby Jr., flanked by his family and friends, looks to put it on the pole, and right now he has a good shot because yesterday he was 5th quickest. Eric?
Thank you, Jamie. And with that, we welcome you into our pit studio. I'm Eric Casilius, alongside with Stacy Compton and Brad Doherty. Guys, moments away from starting qualifying. What should we be looking for today, Stacy?
Well, Eric, I think you're going to see some incredibly fast speed. You may even see a track record broke today. I'm not sure. I think you're going to see some slipping and sliding on the first lap of qualifying. It's going to be exciting. These cold temperatures have the crew chief scratching their head right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see a track record broke today.
Brad, when we get to the race, what should we be looking for?
Well, when you talk to these guys, the one thing or the two things you hear a lot of is grip and fun. So these guys are really looking forward to getting out here. That the racetrack has a ton of grip into the corners, a lot of speeds, just like Stacy said. But a lot of these drivers love coming here, and it's just a lot of fun when they get on the racetrack.
Excited to be in Nashville. Now let's go up to the booth, and let's hear from the guys who will be calling qualifying and the race. Here's Marty Reed, Andy Petrie, and, of course, Rusty Wallace.
All right, thanks, Eric. Let's take a look at the points race as we come into qualifying action. And you'll notice Carl Edwards, 197-point lead over Kevin Harvick. And that could widen substantially because we've highlighted the drivers who are running this weekend in Nashville. You notice Harvick, Busch, Kenseth, Montoya, and Biffle have taken the weekend off. Obviously, they are going to lose a lot of ground. All right, let's bring in Rusty Wallace and Andy Petrie. We talked about it yesterday during our final practice, an opportunity for some of the new names to step up and make a name for themselves, and one of them did in final practice.
Boy, you got that right, Marty. Look at Stephen Light. Man, he was flying out there yesterday. He was position 1 when it was all said and done, and here's a guy who really wants to take advantage of the Cup regulars being gone. And you know what, I've talked to a lot of those guys down in there thinking, man, I'm glad those Cup guys are on vacation down in the Bahamas getting their rear ends tanned up, all that type of stuff, because I'm here in Nashville, and I'm going to win this race, and I'm going to win this pole, and they're seeing this as an opportunity.
All right, temperatures. really going to be cold out there. What do we look for in qualifying, Andy?
Yeah, Marty, I'm really worried about this first lap and getting these tires up to temperature because the track is so cold. The tires are cold. They can't use tire warmers or anything like that. So this first lap of getting these tires warmed up is going to be kind of critical. And these crew chiefs and engineers have probably been working on their setup to try to build heat in these tires real fast so these guys can get going right away.
All right, so we're just about moments away from our first car to go out on the track to qualify. You can see we've got a brisk breeze. Take a look at the weather. Temperature is 32 degrees. It feels a lot colder than that because the gusts are as high as 20 miles an hour. I mean, we feel like we should be doing a football game at the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. As we get ready now for qualifying, we're just waiting for the NASCAR officials to turn J.J. Yaley loose. There he is, as he will be our first car to attempt to qualify here at Nashville.
You see him wave that car back and forth trying to put heat in the tires. He's trying to do that right now. Just trying to put a little bit of heat so that first lap that thing doesn't slip out from under him.
That's the biggest concern right now. I guess, Andy, there's a lot of guys down there qualifying on scuffed tires. Some are on stickers. Most of them are on scuffed tires, though. Notoriously, if you go out on a brand new tire that hasn't been run on the track, with cold temperatures like this, the car will be all over the racetrack. No grip sliding around. So a lot of scuffed tires. But right now, J.J. Yaley's out number 1, getting it up to speed. Let's see what he's got here.
Jay, the 30-year-old out of Phoenix, finished 5th in the 06 Busch
There
Series.
he slips up out of the groove. That's what we're talking about with these cold tires.
That's right. You know, he's got to get this thing. He's seeing wiggling the tires right now. There's big problems, folks. We're 32 degrees right here, and a lot of wind below freezing, and these tires do not like these cold temperatures. Andy, I'd say he was a guinea pig for a lot of the crew guys watching on ESPN2 right now to see what's the wrong thing to do, and that's just to barrel it off in a corner. Got to get the heat in these tires.
Yeah, we can see him wiggling the car back and forth trying to get heat in the tires right before the start-finish line. He's still slipping and sliding. It's really, this track cold. I'll tell you, 40 degrees is cold, and the tires are about the same temperature when they took off.
These guys are going to have to come out of the pits, Marty, in a John Force burnout, get the rear tires warmed up, get some heat in these tires because it's treacherous out there right now.
Well, his first lap at 31 and change. Yesterday in final practice, he was at 29.3. That's a big, big difference.
Yeah, but he sure picked it up on the second lap, 29.71. That's still not what these guys are looking for time, but that's a lot better than that first lap.
That'll translate to 161.5 miles an hour, our fastest speed yesterday in final practice. Stephen Light at 165 and change. Let's check in with Alan.
Standing with Boris Said, and Boris, the guys up in the booth are talking about what you as a driver have to do with temperatures this cold when you get just 2 laps on the clock. What are you thinking about before you strap in here?
Well, I hope that the car has grip. You know, normally like when we road race in Europe, we have tire warmers to get heat in the tires before we roll out, and that's going to be the hardest thing. I mean, these tires don't stick, you know, unless you have heat in them, so that's going to be the hardest thing. You saw the first lap that JJ did. He went straight up the racetrack, so obviously it's going to be slippery today.
What are you going to do to try and help put that heat into the car?
I don't know, just probably just try to put a lot of wheel into it the first lap. It's going to be more like Daytona where you kind of throw away the first lap, and I think that's what I'm going to do, be a little cautious the first lap, really put a lot of wheel in, scrub the tires to build more heat in, and get a good lap on the second time.
All right, Boris, thanks for watching. See when he runs in a couple minutes.
And that's exactly what we saw with J.J. Yaley as we get Justin Dirks now out on the track. Just turned 27 a couple of days ago, April 4th.
Well, you know, Justin's car looks a little more in control. I don't know what the speed of it isn't quite yet. When he crosses the line, we'll let you know. But he doesn't look out of control like J.J. 30.26, not a good lap. Let's go back to talk about J.J. Yaley. Yesterday in practice, Marty and Andy, he ran a 29.39 second lap, and in qualifying just now a 29.71, so really slowed up a lot. Now, they had the Hoosier tire rubber on the track yesterday from the ARCA cars qualifying. I just wonder if that had something to do with it, Andy, when they went out for the first time this morning.
It's going to be interesting to see how as we go through the lineup here, get a little more of the Goodyear rubber on the racetrack, whether that's going to go away or it's really going to be the cold tires that are causing all this.
Well, Justin's second lap quicker, but 30.08 seconds, and that will translate to 159.5 miles an hour, so well off the speed turned in by J.J. Yaley. And interesting comments about the rubber and obviously the cold. Those two combination of factors, we're seeing a lot of guys that are slower. And there is J.J.
You know, we talked, a lot of the people at home are probably wondering, what are those guys talking about in the booth? Hoosier tire rubber, Goodyear tire rubber. Folks, when a different manufactured tire goes out in the racetrack, like the ARCA cars were here yesterday on the Hoosier tires, they lay down a different style of rubber. And when the Goodyear tires get on top of that rubber, the cars slide around a lot. Now, it takes about 10 laps to wear it off and kind of get normalized. As you see the 20 car of Eric Amarillo trying to get the heat in his tires right now and trying to negotiate that Hoosier rubber that's been laid down on the racetrack also.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Stacy Compton. We're down here talking about the tire warming situation. Stacy, why would they not allow these cars to utilize a tire warmer to get some heat in those tires?
Well, I think it's too hard for NASCAR to control what kind of tire warmers, maybe what goes in the tire warmers to soften the tires. I think it's too hard for NASCAR to control what kind and what can be put in the tire warmers to soften these tires up for qualifying.
Oh, you don't think guys will put a little bit of something on their tires to get a little extra grip just by accident, do you?
Well, you know, sometimes you clean the tires with the compound that may soften them a little bit. Hey, anything can happen in NASCAR racing.
All right, thank you.
Well, right now, Eric Almirola has taken over pole position his first lap at 29.6, and we're about to see these even quicker the second lap.
Yeah, we see the green line climb in there, and that means he's a lot faster than the first lap that he ran, which is on the pole. That's a good lap, 29.22.
Yeah, that's real comparable, guys, because Stephen Light's lap yesterday was a 20.02, and he's only 0.2 of an off from what Stephen ran yesterday in these real cold conditions.
So, Eric, obviously, you want to talk about lighting up the tires like John Force on a burnout? That got some heat.
Yeah, that's one way to put heat in those rear tires, for sure.
Well, you know, I think that J.J. Yeley was probably the guinea pig out there. J.J. went out there and slid all over the track, and everybody was watching our broadcast and said, hey, we can't be doing that. We got to get some heat in these things, and that's what they did.
So if you were with us yesterday, you were introduced to Beek, David Rudiman, as he's out on the track right now. His 5th career Nashville race. You see there his best start 14th last April.
Beek, where'd he get that nickname at?
He said in the piece, this was him, not us, that his proboscis was a rather large. You know what a proboscis is?
No, I don't know what that means either, Marty.
Nose.
Okay. Well, I didn't say it, you did.
I know, he did. He did yesterday. That's why I don't want cards and letters.
Maybe later on we'll show you that piece on David Rudiman.
It was cute. He did a nice job on it. Right now, Rudiman steps it up, 29.18 seconds. That's 164.4 miles an hour, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of available grip in the track if you can get the tires warmed up quick enough and build, you know, with the setup, build enough heat in those tires right away. And we can see that. You can hear him, a little miss right before he let off the gas was the rev limiter getting in the turn. That's always a good sign when you get up against the rev limiter.
Second lap, 28.98 seconds at 165.5 miles an hour. So you're looking at your new pole sitter.
And by the way, that is the fastest lap of the entire week so far. At 02 out of Stephen Light yesterday. Now it's a 98 out of Rudiman. Hey, just about the time we thought the track didn't have any grip because it was so cool. Some of these guys are proving us wrong.
And one of the drivers still to come is Brad Coleman. Jamie Little is with him.
That's right. One of the new faces just making a second start this year. Brad Coleman, a rookie, but you were quickest yesterday of the rookies and 13th. What are you looking for today?
I'm looking to go out there and have a good solid qualifying position. I'd love to get top 10. This is a real great track. I love being here. The Carinos car is awesome. I ate my pasta, so I'm ready to go.
He's ready. He did well. You guys last year, he raced in the ARCA series here, finished second, so he actually has a little bit of time on this track. He's looking forward to a top 10.
So as we get back out trackside, coming out is Kevin Hamlin as he is on his first lap.
Like that paint scheme, it reminds me of the late Davey Allison when he used to run that Haviland paint scheme when he drove for Robert Yates and won a lot of big races in that paint scheme. And I think they're kind of giving honor to Davey by bringing that paint scheme back out.
Kevin's not gotten a lot of track time in races this year, but he's a test driver for Ganassi Racing, and he's been behind the wheel doing a lot of testing for those guys. I'm still friends with a lot of guys that work over there, and they talk about all the testing they do with Kevin.
a very cautious first lap at 30.39 seconds. That translates to about 157 miles an hour. See if he can pick it up.
Brad Parrott, his crew chief, probably said, hey, be careful out there. Just feel it out the first lap. Let's lay the big number down the second lap and see if we can pick this thing up.
Tell by the graph, it's going in the wrong direction.
Well, this is the lap we want to look at here. He's got that heat in the tires that he was lacking the first lap.
Well, a 29.6 will move him into the number.
Way better, Nato, just overly cautious.
Oh, that was his second lap.
That was good.
Sorry
You
about
hear that? He said he was overly cautious. The car had a lot more in it, but hey, that's cool. You know, folks are probably used to seeing Juan Montoya drive this car, but this is an off weekend, and I think that probably Juan's down getting a little sun himself, right?
And there is David Rudiman. And there we'll get a chance to maybe talk to Beek when we come back qualifying here at Nashville. NASCAR Busch Series qualifying at Nashville is brought to you by ChunkyFan.com. Self-judged as the best website for football and big chunks of meat. On a very brisk day at Nashville Superspeedway, we are qualifying during the break. We can tell you Danny O'Quinn turned in his best lap at 29.7 seconds at 161 miles an hour. Moves him to the provisional number 4 spot. And on the track right now, the veteran, Jason Keller.
Yeah, I just talked to Jason in the garage area last night right after practice, and he said his car was a little bit tight, but it sure did feel good to get behind the wheel again.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of him a lot. He's trying to find a steady ride. He's driving the Bruco-owned car. Did I say that right?
Eventually.
I think I finally got it out of my mouth, you know. But Jason's a heck of a driver. He can flat get it done. I'm glad to see him in this car.
Well, you can see the graph. It's sliding in the wrong direction.
Like he held it pretty good down the backstretch, but he lost just a little bit in 3 and 4.
His first lap was 29.5. His second's a little bit better, 29.2. It'll move him into the number 2 spot at 164.2 miles an hour. Behind David Rudiman, who's currently sitting on pole. In fact, he's with Mike Massaro.
Well, Marty, the first thing David Rudiman called for when he got out of the car, well, was a ski parka trying to warm up. What was it like going out there on those cold tires?
You know, it's a little squirrely out there right now. But I tell you, Jerry Baxter and the guys over working on the Airstream machine, Jerry made some tire pressure adjustments right there at the end, and I think it helped us quite a bit. So I don't think that time's going to stand up by any means, but it's pretty loose out there right now. I think a lot of guys are fighting the same stuff.
Well, Dave Rudiman pretty happy with his car on Friday. He described it as one of the best he's ever driven. Marty?
All right, thanks, Mike. And so far, so good for David Rudiman. Out on the track now, Johnny Sauter.
There's another team right here, the Bruco-led team, putting a lot of different drivers in that car, Andy. I noticed Jamie McMurray usually drives his car. He's on vacation this week, vacationing a little bit. And
Greg
now you got
Greg
Biffle drives that car. It's one of these teams that puts several drivers in there. There's a lot of controversy whether that's a right thing or not to do, but I hear they need to do that to get the sponsors on the cars like what it takes to make these babies run.
Well, we were talking about that yesterday during practice and how hard it is for the crew chief to communicate with each other.
Yeah, it takes a long time sometimes for crew chief and driver to gel and learn each other's language and all that. You put these drivers in for one race or two here and there, and it's kind of hard for the crew chief really to decipher exactly what the driver's saying.
Well, I tell you what, that was a good first lap at 29.07. I think he can probably pick it up the second lap. Let's watch our lap tracker here and see if he gained anything. It doesn't look like he's picking up at the moment.
In fact, that is the quickest first lap of the 8 cars that have
it's
taken
going the right way now, though.
It's going the right way. Yeah, it's peaking in the green there. That's where you want it to be. Let's take a look here.
28.99, second lap. Go to the pole, Otto.
He got it.
Awesome grip, baby. Awesome grip.
You heard the numbers, 28.9, 165.6 miles an hour. Johnny Sauter is now provisional pole sitter as we head to commercial break. And what they're fighting for? The guitar at Nashville.
I think it'd be great to hold this up in victory lane, that's for sure.
I think I need to win that.
I might just take this now.
Well, I'd probably go to sleep with it like this and wake up with it like this.
Well, I think the country boys, you definitely got to be sitting up, like that. The rock star, you're definitely, playing it out like that.
Pepsi 300, you can get it.
All right.
Back Back here at Nashville Superspeedway, Sam Hornish Jr. on the track, and that all right you heard from Andy Petrie, 29.7 seconds for Sam, 161 miles an hour, so a good first lap.
Yeah, that's a pretty good lap, Andy. I mean, I know Hornish was concerned yesterday in practice, but hey, that looked pretty good to me just then.
That's a solid first lap.
We should tell you while we were in break, Jay Sauter turned in a best lap of 30 and change. That put him 8th out of 9 cars that have made their qualifying attempts. Here comes Sam with his second lap. And even better, 29.1. That translates to 164.5 miles an hour, and that moves him to number 3, guys. So while he cools it off a little bit, we'll check in with Jamie, with the man who has to be considered the favorite, points leader, Carl Edwards.
That's right. Last time we saw him was a backflip in victory lane, of course, in Bristol. But Carl, heading out now, the coldest we've seen it. Does that affect you at all here?
Yeah, I think it's going to have a huge effect. I can hear people, doing burnouts out there trying to get heat in the good years. But this Dish Network Fusion is awesome in race trim, and they've just been over here just trying to beat it into me, not to wreck this thing in qualifying. I saw the guys that went out first, but I just hope we have a good lap. And happy birthday to you, Jamie. I can't believe you're going to be 22 on Monday. That's amazing.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you. A new haircut, is that going to bring some luck?
It's the summer, dude. It's just that it's not quite summer yet here. It's a little bit cold today, but my mom hates it, but it sure feels good.
Carl Edwards getting ready to roll out. Guys, he won here last year.
And he already beat us to the punch on wishing you a happy birthday. So Monday, the big day. Right now.
Said his mom hates it. I thought the moms always liked the short haircuts.
I don't know. I gave up trying to figure out moms.
Yeah, me neither.
Brad Coleman, the 19-year-old, out on the track right now. One of the 2 Joe Gibbs racing machines.
I'll tell you, Brad looks good out there. In practice yesterday, he's confident. I remember watching him in a road course in Mexico City, Andy. He looked good out there too, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a talented young guy, I'll tell you. Practiced fast yesterday. Looks like he lost a little bit there in 1 and 2. We saw that line dipped a little bit, but he picked up off the turn 2 down the back stretch. Might be overdriving his car just a little bit here. You can see that dust flying out from under the car. That means he's just up out of the groove a little bit where the track's not very clean. And he actually slows down on his second lap.
And that's the first car that we've seen do that here in qualifying out of the 11 that have taken times. Coleman 9th quickest at 29.8 seconds. And that translates to just over 160 miles an hour. So I don't think he's going to be real happy.
No, but he should be fairly happy that he didn't wreck that car. If he'd have got up just a little bit higher out of that groove in 3 and 4, it gets extremely slick.
Right now, our current pole sitter is with Mike Massaro.
And that's Johnny Sauter. And when he got out of the car, Marty, he said, I had no idea we could go that fast. Why were you so surprised?
Just yesterday, we struggled a little bit qualifying trim. We were really fast in race trim, just couldn't get it going. But very, very thankful for Bruca Motorsports, Cub Cadet, all the people at Tractor Supply. This is their hometown race. And give me this opportunity. I thought I was going to have the weekend off, and to be able to come here, even though it's cold, it's a blast. I love this place, and it's kind of cool to be back with Newt Moore as crew chief.
He doesn't mind the cold either, guys. This guy's from Wisconsin. He said it's an awful lot like Oktoberfest.
Well, and what he was referring to, he was only 18th quickest in the final practice yesterday, so obviously they did step it up, and the guy trying to step it up right now is Boris Said.
Professional road racer. Boris has won the 24 Hours of Daytona a couple times. Raced over Le Mans. Back in the stock car this weekend. Looks good. We talked yesterday about it. First lap of 29.60. That's a good lap, Andy. You compare that to what Hornish ran on his first lap, a 29.70. He might get that thing. He might go for the pole against Sauter and Ruderman.
Yeah, he overdrove the corner just a little bit there. You see that dip in the speed there in turn 1. Might have just been feeling pretty good, drove it in a little too hard.
I was trying to talk him a little faster, I was trying to get him going.
That's a great first lap, though.
Coming across the line.
It's Ray Evernham looking on.
Boris, 29.3 on the second lap, so that'll move him up to 163.7 miles an hour. Keeps him in the number 6 position out of 12 cars that have taken time. We're going to step aside. Boris Said 6th. And, of course, Johnny Sauter sitting on point right now. As you get an idea how cold it is, we'll heat it up.
Reminder, the green flag drops later today. Coverage starts at 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD. Action from this concrete superspeedway only a few hours away. And for more information, you can log on to ESPN.com. We're here in the pit studio. John Wood just finished his qualifying laps in the 47, the 60 getting ready to go. It's been his season so far. Brad, is anyone going to have anything for him this weekend or this season on the Busch circuit?
Well, this season, I definitely think Carl Edwards is the man to beat. Everyone will tell you that week in and week out. Today, though, he has the opportunity to go out and possibly set a track record, but there's some great qualifiers still in the field. Jason Leffler, Dave Blaney, and I'm interested in seeing Stephen Light qualify. He was so fast yesterday, I think he may have a little something. And you heard Carl say he wants to protect that race car, so we'll see what happens.
Check out his qualifying lap. We'll go back up to the booth with Marty, Andy, and Rusty.
And you see where Regan has now moved into the number 4 spot out of the 14 cars that have taken times. We can tell you John Wood is in the number 8 position. He made his run while we were in break. And we get ready for the man of the hour in the Busch Series with that commanding points lead. Here's Carl.
Yeah, we heard him talking about PK, Pierre Cattell, his crew chief, telling him, let's don't wreck that car. He just don't want him to get too fired up, try to get the pole, because the race is the most important thing today for these guys, and they don't want to try to wreck the car just to get the pole today.
Andy, I want you to take a look at the nose on the 60 car. Look how low it is, and it's low in the straightaways, low through the corners. In fact, it's bouncing just a little bit. The car's got a perfect attitude on the racetrack, and that's what the rest of these competitors are trying to chase.
Yeah, that's one of the best attitudes I've seen in any of the cars so far. You hold that left front down, especially on the straightaway. That means you've got that thing, really set up right. You got it sitting right down on the springs, maximizing the travel of the car.
His first lap, guys, only the 8th quickest at 29.3. I'm sure he's going to try and step it up here.
And it looks like he is. You can see it. See the tracker climbing into the green.
Remember, he told us right before he went out, guys told him, don't wreck it. It's a good car.
He probably went out and saw what he had the first lap, made sure the car was underneath of him, and he might hammer down and go for it the second lap. Everybody's been picking up on that second lap.
Looks like he's going to fall just a little bit short.
He does. He's in the number 3 spot right now. 29.06 seconds translates to 165.11.
Yeah, it's loose. That's all I feel like a risk in there. So good job. Just loose.
That's actually a tick slower than his time of yesterday. So we'll start 3rd right now as in the provisional field.
Well, Marty, if you were to watch our practice show yesterday, I mean, everybody knows that Edwards is really fast. So,
he's fast in race trim.
Yeah, I would not count him out when it comes time for the race later today. Let's check in with Alan.
Sam Hornish's crew finishing up the work that they're allowed to do under the impound rules on his car as he just finished debriefing with his crew chief, Matt Gimbel. Sam just kicked back to 4th fastest by Carl Edwards. That was a pretty decent lap considering you were 27th in practice yesterday. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we were really working on the car yesterday to try to get some of the push out of the car in the middle of the corner, and I think that we made some good changes overnight. We never got a chance to make a practice qualifying run yesterday, so we knew that there was definitely more left in the car. But I'd have to honestly say that we bumped up a little bit more than what we thought we were going to in the Mobile 1 Dodge. But really just looking forward to getting out there and getting a race and getting some more seat time and in race conditions and some more experience.
Sam says it feels a little better every time he goes out. He's got another shot this afternoon.
All right, thanks, Alan. As we get ready now for Bobby Hamilton Jr., he's already turned in his first lap at 29.5 seconds. That would be good for the number 10 position.
Yeah, that's not a bad lap. If he picks that thing up by 3/10, that'll put him probably in the top 5. I believe he can do that. Everybody's been picking up about the same amount. 2 or 3/10 it seems like, and those cold temperatures, puts him 4th. So it's pretty predictable what they've been doing, the rest of them.
29.1 seconds translates to 164.7 miles an hour. And as you heard Rusty say, it puts Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the number 4 spot. So far, out of the top 5, it is 3 Fords, 1 Toyota with Ruderman, 1 Dodge with Sam Hornish Jr.
Hey, Marty, going back to Sam Hornish, I really like what his team's doing for him. He's tested a lot up in Richmond, Virginia a couple weeks ago. Had a good run up there, learned a lot of stuff. Got in the wall a little bit, understood how far to take the car. His team's been sticking with you. See him and his wife right there together. She's been by his side a lot. She goes to a lot of the races. But, I like Penske's really supported him really good, and he's doing a great job in his stock car. My concern for him is, though, hopefully he get really focused when he gets ready for the Indianapolis 500, one of the most important races of the year, because he's got a lot of stock car thinking in his mind right now. Can he get refocused? I think he can.
Well, I know he can. He's a great race car driver and a winner. And talking to Matt Gibble yesterday, they were talking about just trying to peak at the right time. They just want to have that car right for the end of the race.
Now, Brent Sherman, here's another guy where we're looking at the front end of his car yesterday, how low it was to the ground, and he struggled a lot, and he's really did a lot of work in that car and picked it up. He had a good fast speed in practice yesterday.
Yeah, he was 19th quickest yesterday when final practice was done. His first lap at 29.9 puts him 15th out of the 17 cars that have taken times.
Yeah, he got really loose getting in the corner right there and chased it up the hill, so I don't think this is going to be the lap he's looking for, at least not for qualifying. I know these guys are really pumped up about the race this afternoon.
Man, did you hear those tires? I heard that up in the booth here. You can hear the tires actually squalling, squeaking, whatever you want to call them, going into turn 3. And he really held on to that baby. He could have busted his tail on that one.
29.8 the time. It's going to keep him in that number 15 spot, 160.6 miles an hour. So Brent Sherman probably not as happy with that time as he wanted, but we'll find out. We've got kangaroo meet coming up next. For all of you familiar, that would be Marcus Ambrose. We'll explain more when we come back.
See the 59 on the track, Marcus Ambrose. See how he does. The 52, Brad Teague, already ran not great, currently 18th out of 18. But now let's go over to Stacy Compton. Stacy, we know qualifying means more at certain tracks, so how important is qualifying position at Nashville?
Eric, it's very important. This place has so much grip. The tires doesn't fall off real bad. What happens is you get a lot of rubber on the outside lane, so you only really have a lane and a half. Track position is very, very important here, probably as important here as it is just about any race we go to.
Let's go back up to the booth because I want to hear more about kangaroo meet.
Of course, for those who may be tuning in for the first time, Marcus says he is on a very good second lap. Yeah, look at the graph from Tasmania down in Australia, and the Tasmanian Devil is going to move to the number 1 spot, 28.97.
On the board, 28.97. Good job, Marcus.
That's a great lap for Marcus Ambrose.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, you see our board, it went 0-0-0 lap tracker, and he runs a 28.97.3 compared to Sauter's 28.97.6. It's about as close as you can cut it, Marty.
Well, he's not kangaroo meat right now. He may have just made the field chopped liver.
Tell you what, that reminds me of a pro stock race over there at NHRA, how tight they get that qualifying going on.
It is. It's just as close. Take a look. Here's some biographical information. Of course, Launceston, Tasmania. And he was the V8 Supercar champion back-to-back years down in Australia. And, of course, the nickname from down south, down under. And his best series finish, 8th at Mexico City here in 2007. So right now our provisional poll is that man right there, Marcus Ambrose.
And you talk about another car with a great looking attitude. When it went around the racetrack, Ambrose's car, the nose in that thing was sealed off, and it looked like almost all the way around the track. I mean, I looked at the bottom of the air dam, and it looked almost identical through the corners and the straightaways.
His car did look good. What was most impressive, though, he was only 16th in practice yesterday, and to run a lap like that, man, that's a good lap to shoot at.
Well, his prior best start was at Mexico as well, 12th. So this would be a huge improvement for him as we get ready now, as we've got Robert Richardson out there on the track. And the graph is going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, this is his second lap. He's already turned in a lap of 31.80 in the first lap.
Robert turned 25 just this past Tuesday. We had a lot of birthdays this past week, including Bill France. We should say happy birthday to him. Turned 74 earlier this week. And for Robert, 31.5 is going to leave him 19th out of 20th. Not the kind of run that they were probably looking for. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, it's Easter weekend, so how fitting we're talking about Easter Bunny power, not horsepower here. What happened yesterday to Stephen Light, who's getting ready to head out now, his team played a trick on him. They took this little Easter Bunny ring and they taped it on the dash of his car. He looked at it during practice and said, "That's stupid." Well, he went out and jumped to the top of the speed charts in happy hour. So when the team tried to rip it out, he said, "Forget it, guys. I want to leave it on there for qualifying. Perhaps that bunny will bring him a little luck today."
You guys aren't superstitious at all, are you?
I used to use that setup all the time. No, that's the first I've heard of that.
Oh, I tell you what, I remember when the late Dale Earnhardt Sr. took that penny and taped it on his dashboard of his car, and he won the race. And heck, every time I'd go out there and win, I used to try to think, that uniform I'm wearing is something special. So I'd wear that uniform until I wouldn't win any longer. Usually it was the next week.
Yeah, these guys, they try anything to get an advantage. If they think it'll work, they'll do it.
I can hear his post-race interview. It's not Ford power, it's money power.
Cale Gale in the 33 car out of Kevin Harvick's operation. Good-looking car. Fabricators do a great job with that place. Kevin and Delane have really put together a great operation. I look at those cars every week, and you can tell he's pretty proud of his organization. He's doing a really good job.
Cale right now 15th on his first lap, 29.8 seconds. That's 160 and change.
Cale said yesterday, I'm going to guarantee you guys a top 10 finish. So, guaranteed, he said.
Yeah, and he's on the pole for the ARCA race. And he's 12th fastest in practice yesterday. He's just looking for a good starting spot so he can try to get that 10th place finish.
Right now, he's going to be in the number 13 position. The second lap, 0.2 quicker at 29.6 seconds. That's 162 and change. Let's check in with Kangaroo Meat, Mike Massaro.
Marty, when Marcus Ambrose got out of the car, his hands were literally quivering, shaking, almost as if he scared himself on that lap. How hard were you pushing the car?
We got new seatbelts in there this weekend, and about halfway through the lap, I thought I didn't have them tight enough because, I was holding on. We left a bit out there. I don't think it's enough for the pole, but just a great run for us and the Kingsford team. We're a rookie deal out here and just excited to be here and loving NASCAR.
Now, Marty, you wouldn't think it, but this guy from Australia, he has endured these cold conditions before, but he says when it gets cold down in Australia, they normally cancel these races.
Maybe they know something we don't, because I'll tell you, I can tell how cold it is just like, well, you saw earlier, we had the lens of the camera fog up. I mean, it is very chilly.
Here's our fastest car in practice. So Marcus is going to be watching this 90 car.
20-year-old Stephen Light, he lit it up yesterday.
All right, this is the money lap right here. See if he can get this thing wound up. He was 6th quick at a 29.13. I think that was a pretty good first lap for him. Looks like he went into turn 1, got into green on our lap tracker. He's a little bit behind right now, not much though.
He's right there. He's just right on the edge. If he can get a good 3 and 4, he can get it.
If he can get that momentum off of turn 4, Andy, like you said, get that Yates horsepower wound up to the line, he might grab this pole.
Does Bunny Power have enough? Not quite. He slides into the number 4 position at 29.04 seconds, 165.1 miles an hour.
I tell you, that's a good lap. That's a good lap. He was P1 yesterday, position 1, and he backed it up again today with a good top 5. Pretty proud of him.
I overdrove turn 3 a little bit. I couldn't get back to the front where I needed to. That caused me.
Well, you heard it right from Steven. What happened on the run? But as Rusty said, it is still a very good lap. We talked about Marcus. Look at his hands were shaking when he climbed out of the car. Stay with us. More qualifying. Hey, the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series rolls into Las Vegas, Nevada next week. 4 races into the season. Already records have been broken in 3 of 4 classes. Qualifying is Saturday, April 14th, 6 Eastern. And then the final Sunday, April 15th at 7 Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD.
Man, I want to do that one day.
It'll pin your wig back.
Pro stock car, man. I'm just dying to grab a hold of that transmission. Jerk that lever back. Run over 200.
We can make that happen.
Maybe I don't want to do it.
We'll find out, because we'll make that happen now. Dave Blaney on the track right now. Big opportunity this weekend for Blaney, guys.
Yeah, he's had a fast car all year. And they're looking to break through in the victory lane. They've had some good cars all year. Ran really good at Daytona.
And you can see right now he is currently 8th as he turns in his best lap on the second effort. Or actually on the lap number 1, 29.2 seconds at 164 miles an hour. Let's check in with Alan Beswick.
With Stephen Light. Stephen, we heard you say on the radio you overdrove turn 3 coming in. Pleased or disappointed, though, with a 4th place qualifying effort?
I'll tell you what, the City Financial team's done a great job. The car's been awesome all weekend. And I feel sorry for my guys. They definitely deserve a pole. The car was very good in practice. Just a little bit freer right now than it was yesterday. And I knew it was going to be a little free getting in there at the second lap. And I tried to get everything out of it. And if I'd have backed off 10 feet sooner, I probably would have been all right. But I just had to wait too long getting back to the throttle.
So I take that to be disappointed then?
Well, I am. The team's happy. I mean, we're going to have a good top 10, top 5 starting spot. But we got a real good race car. Just had to run a good race today. Hopefully we got some luck back on our side.
All right, thanks. Stephen Light.
And he brings up something that Stacy Compton, we were talking about in one of our meetings before we went on the air this weekend, about how this track is so seductive. It sort of sucks you in and you drive it in too deep. You have that tendency.
Oh, Stacy's exactly right. I was just getting ready to talk about that, Marty. At this racetrack, it looks like these guys got to get it in the corner. I mean, pretty hard, but they got to keep that left front tire on the bottom of the track on the entry and pick that throttle up early. I call part throttle. That's the terminology I use. But he can't drive it in and get it up out of the groove in that first lap and slide up out of the groove.
It looks so inviting, and when you go in the transitions into the corners are so smooth, and the track is so smooth, it's so inviting just to drive it down in the corner really hard. Todd Cleaver drove it in hard and saw a little bit of smoke out from under the back of it. Probably bottomed out just a little bit.
Todd, another member of the Wisconsin contingent, and his first lap would put him in the number 14 spot. He's looking a lot better here on lap 2, guys.
Yeah, it looks like he overdrove it just a little bit into turn 1, and that cost him some time, and he's losing a little bit more time off turn 4. But this is going to be a good lap for Todd.
Comes across, the 28-year-old will slide into the number 7 position. Second lap at 29.1 seconds. Translates to 164.6 miles an hour. As let's check in with Jamie Little.
Rusty Wallace's son, Stephen Wallace, yesterday working on your car, trying to get it perfect to come out here. Did you guys figure out your issues, Stephen?
Well, we did. We changed a bunch of stuff. Late last night, we changed some front springs and some sway bars and stuff like that to really try and get our left front down. We changed some right rear spring to get the attitude of the car better. So I feel like we really got the car a lot better late last night. But I wish I was up there with Dad and Andy Peacher right now, man. It's about 20 degrees down here.
Stephen, last time we saw you in qualifying, you got your first ever pole. Do you have it in you to get a second one today?
Well, that would be nice. I always surprise myself every time I qualify. I scare my dad, scare my parents, scare my whole team. So we might. You never know. It just all depends.
He looks like he's going skiing, guys. Not getting ready to get in his race car.
I was going to say, he looks like he's ready to go to Nome, Alaska.
Well, I tell you, Oakley sent all those guys those jackets and sunglasses and hats, and they're all Oakley'd out down there, aren't they?
Yeah, do you wear one of those stocking caps, that RWI? You wear that too?
No, they think if I wore something like that, they'd think I'm a bank robber.
Well, we go from son Steve to brother Mike for Rusty. And Mike, yesterday, if you were not with us during our final practice, boy, he got one lap in, and then this is what happened.
Yeah, he smacked the wall right here. Got just a little bit out of the groove, and then it just gets in that dirty racetrack. Took him right up into the wall. Hit pretty square, so they were able to work on the car, fix it. This is the first laps that he's made. He's on track qualifying now. This is the first lap he's made with the car since then.
And that was the only incident we had throughout the weekend so far.
Yeah, he's got a really good car. He just not qualified 15th at a 29.43. Not at all what he was hoping for, but he told me yesterday they changed front springs. He went out, the car bottomed out, shot up the racetrack. They worked like crazy, but Andy couldn't get it out to get that last practice session in. And he was a little concerned about this qualifying run, but hey, he did a good job. I mean, with no practice, good run.
And the other thing we have to remember, guys, this is an impound race. They really can't work on it after this.
They had to get that car right before qualifying. I saw Fred Wonky and his guys down there really hammering that car out, checking it out good, checking the front end settings. Looks like they got it set up pretty good.
So as soon as Mike pulls off, here comes David Reagan in the number 6.
The car is usually sponsored by Discount Tire. See, it says coats on that hood. What is that? That's a tire changing machine, isn't it?
I think that is one of the machines they use to change the tires.
See all kind of sponsors out there nowadays.
It takes a lot of them to make the world go round.
I think I'll go out and buy me a tire changing machine. What do you think? Put that in my living room, right?
Yeah, we can see David right here. He just drove it in the corner really hard into turn 1. He was still in the green, but he's lost a little bit through 1 and 2 and down the back stretch and through 3 and 4.
I love it. I can tell you guys as drivers and crew chiefs, you're worried about buying tire changes. I'm worried about where we're going for dinner tonight.
Look at his qualifying lap, though.
Yep. He's coming up.
He's looking good right now. I mean,
he's got that turn 1 down pat. You can see how that hump comes up there. He's still in the green. He's still going for more.
Look out, Marcus.
Doesn't overdrive it here.
Oh, it's going to be close.
But it looks like he just overdrove turn 3 and 4 a little too much, Andy.
Yep. He loses it. Number 4 position for David. 29.01 seconds. 165.3 miles an hour. That was good, though.
Well, I'll tell you what. You look at these top 4, 5, 6 times up on the board right now. You can just throw a blanket over them. 28.97. All the way down to Carl Edwards in 6th at a 29.06. So these guys are running just almost identical times.
Yeah, David Reagan did a great job. I mean, he's going to go back and look at this tape, and he had him covered right to the last corner. I mean, our tracker was up in the green the whole time, and a lot of momentum going on there. But, you know, a lot of times, Andy, you can really feel like you got it going on, and I'm just going to give it more, and it's a little too much.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like you said, it's inviting.
And if this holds on for David, it'll be his best Busch Series start, 9th last September at California. So right now, he's in the number 4 position. As we go back out trackside and get ready for Richard Johns. What a great story about this 25-year-old.
Yeah, he's giving it a shot. He's a team engineer for the Renzi team. I think actually on the 35 team, but he's getting a shot to drive the 25.
Actually started out as an intern. I mean, you know what that means. You're cleaning up after everybody.
And this is a good race for him to get in. We've got 43 cars here.
Wow,
and
looking good here,
he's going to make the fields, Marty, so he's going to get a lot of experience that he might not get at a different racetrack, Andy. So I like what they've done with him, putting him in this 25 car. Really nice kid. I talked to him the other day. He's an engineer, like you said. I believe he's going to be a good driver. He just needs seat time.
His first lap was good for the 17th position, sliding off a little bit through 3 and 4. And he comes across second lap a little bit better, 29.3 seconds, moves him into the number 15 spot right now out of 28 cars that have qualified. There you see his numbers at 163 miles an hour.
Good job.
So a good run for a man in his first ever Busch Series race, Richard Johns, number 25. Stay with us. We've still got more qualifying coming your way. Nanook of the North, also known as Stephen Wallace. Can he make it 2 in a row? Come on back and find out.
Back at qualifying, you see David Rudiman. He currently sitting 3rd. Johnny Sauter, he'll be 2nd right now, and there's only one faster than Johnny Sauter, and there he is coming up with you. Kangaroo meet, Marcus Ambrose. Right now, your pole sitter, almost 2/3 of the way through qualifying. 38's on the track. Now let's go back up to the booth with our guys.
Thank you, Eric. And 38 is Jason Leffler, where he picked up his first ever NASCAR Busch Series win right here at Nashville. We should tell you, during the break, Ruben Pardo, in only his second Busch Series start, moved to the 15th spot out of 29 drivers with a 29.3, and Leffler now moves into the number 9 position with a 29.1.
Well, at Pardo, we're looking on the practice sheets. We can't find him on either one of the happy hour sheet or the first practice session. The only practice sheet we find him on is the rookie practice that they had in between the practice sessions. And wow, man, I'll tell you, that's a good lap for him, not having any more practice.
So we'll have to keep our eye on him during the race. Let's check in with a man who had a birthday last Thursday, turned 42. We're talking about Mike Bliss. He's with Jamie Little.
That's right. He was one of the quickest guys in practice yesterday. Finished 2nd in just his 2nd attempt in the Busch car. Mike, so far so good this weekend. What are you expecting out of this very cold day?
Ah, man. I don't know. I mean, I think the track's got the grip it did yesterday, I hope. The biggest thing is just, like, you know, everybody's worried about getting tires up to temperature, and I'm worried about seeing. My visor's going to be all fogged up. I'll have to crack that thing because it's cold out here. But, you know, we're unloaded real good. I think our race package is really good, so if I leave a little qualifying, that's fine, because I think our race package is good.
Well, the Fitz Racing team, you can imagine, ecstatic after the Bristol effort. He started 10th and finished 10th, Marty.
Thank you, Jamie. As we go back out of trackside, and Brad Keselowski, his first lap at 30 and change, puts him 27th out of 31.
Marty, you should have saw him in Bristol, Tennessee a couple weeks ago. This kid flew in practice, and myself and Jerry Punch and Andy were talking about how good a job he was doing. By the way, Jerry's on vacation for a couple weeks. We're glad to have Marty here.
And you're going to be taking a break here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm going to take about 5 weeks off. I'll catch you guys after the Indianapolis 500's over, where me and you and Scott Goodyear will be there calling the Indianapolis 500, and Andy gets to work every week.
Andy, we got to get that deal.
Yeah, he's actually going to be retired for a few weeks, isn't he?
All right, Brad moves up to the number 20 position at 29.5 seconds, so that's his best lap at 162.4. Let's check in pit side again. Alan Bestwick.
With David Reagan, who sits 4th on the board. Now, he and I were just laughing because his crew chief, Mike Kelly, came over to him and said, you were in the green down the backstretch, and you said, what?
I probably wouldn't have come out of turn 4 if he would have told me I was in the green going down the backstretch. But we got a great Discount Tire Ford Fusion for this weekend. Coach is on board, and we're having a great time. It's an off weekend for Cup. What lovelier place to be than in cold Nashville with a lot of friends and family this weekend. So we're having a ball. I love this racetrack, and looking forward to the race. Opportunity to win. Is tonight an opportunity to win for you? We'd like to think every racetrack we have somewhat of an opportunity to win. It helps some of the top Cup guys aren't here this weekend. We're still racing guys like Dave Blaney and Carl Edwards, some of those guys. But, we work really hard at Roush Fenway Racing and preparing these race cars for Bristol or Watkins Glen or Nashville. So we feel like we've got a chance to win every weekend. But this is a pretty special race for us, and we'd love to come out of here with a good top 5 run. But if on the last few laps, if I can squeeze out a win, we'll do it.
All right, David, thanks. He's 4th right now, guys.
Curtis Davis isn't anywhere close to 4th, currently 27th out of 32 cars that have taken times as he's getting ready to finish up here on his 2nd lap, and we'll see if he can improve.
Another one of the Kevin Harvick teams.
Waiting for his 2nd lap number to come up, and it didn't register, so we'll have to wait and see where it puts him officially. His first lap with 29.9 seconds. Taking a look at the top 10 right now, guys, there are 7 Fords, 2 Toyotas, 1 Dodge. Chevy can't be found.
Well,
not yet, anyway.
Someday it's not your day,
Well, it's not over yet. Here comes Steve Wallace. You take a look at his qualifying history so far this season. Bit of a roller coaster as it wasn't so good at Daytona. Shot all the way up to 8th at California. Fell back on the road course at Mexico City, and whoops, while we're showing you this graph, he got very high in turn 2, and of course he's coming off the pole at Bristol, and he's going to have to throw away this first lap.
Yeah, he's going to have to, because he about crashed that first lap. He got up in there, and the car got way out from underneath him, got real loose. While we were showing you that graph,
well, he was right in his interview. He said he scares you during the qualifying, and you were jumping up out of your chair.
Well, I'm glad they had that graph in the way. I looked out the window and saw him about to spin out. I went, what in the world? And whenever that happens, Marty, that's just about the time that you take a driver and you lose his confidence when the car breaks off from underneath in the first lap. But he looks like the car's got a good attitude. The nose is down on it real good. See if he can pick it back up in the 2nd lap.
.31 and change for the first lap, so that is not going to be any good. So we'll have, like we said, he'd have to give that one up, and now we'll find out what he can do on the 2nd one. 29.330. So that will put him in about the 17th position.
First one got a little hairy looking, didn't it?
Let's go back and take you to that first lap where, while we were showing you the graph, here's what happened to Steve.
It's like he's just driving in the corner really hard, trying to keep it right on the bottom. You see those wheels take a right. That means the back end kind of started slipping out from under him, had to catch it. We call that getting loose into the corner. He was really lucky not to hit anything over there.
It's a classic case of getting loose, wasn't it, Andy? He didn't touch the apron or nothing. Rear end just kicked out. Now, there's a lot of tire rubber up there. And what happens is all that debris gets on the tires and makes it so you can't hardly get it off. I'm surprised he was able to run that fast on the 2nd lap and pick it up. So that's a pretty good qualifying run for him after that first lap disaster.
So that'll put us out onto the racetrack now with the number 29 of Scott Wimmer. And you can tell this could be his 6th career Nashville race. His best start prior, 2001, when he started 5th. And right now he's in the number 19 spot, 29.3 seconds. A lot of pressure, obviously, because Jeff Burton has had such great success with this car.
Yeah, that car's been super fast all year, and it's an opportunity for Scott Wimmer, but also it's a little responsibility. He's got to carry it on here and see if he can keep the momentum for this 29 team going forward.
Jeff Burton's built a lot of rhythm with this team, and Jeff's got the car the way he wants it. To put Scott Wimmer right back in the car and expect to run just like Burton is a little too much to ask for. Although that's a good run. He's 11th right now at a 29.18 second lap for Wimmer. Going to be a good starting position for him.
And you can see the speed there at 164 in change. So as he rolls on out on the cool off, we'll cool off ourselves for just a moment or two. Back with more qualifying. 34 cars have taken times. There's your leaderboard. On a brisk day at Nashville Superspeedway, that is Mike Bliss making his qualifying effort to get into the starting field for this afternoon's race, which you'll see just a little bit later today on ESPN2. Mike's first lap at 29.2 would put him in the number 16 spot right now. During the break, we can tell you Morgan Shepherd turned in a 30.1 for his best. That's 32nd quickest out of the 35 that have taken time.
Pretty solid first lap. Driving the car hard, but staying down in the groove.
Yeah, Mike Bliss, he's got a lot of talent. Been running trucks, cups. He's running about every doggone thing NASCAR's got out there.
Boy, he gets close, too.
Man, look at that. A 28, the second quick. 28.975 compared to 28.973 of Ambrose. Marty, this qualifying is closer than pro stock racing.
2 1,000ths of a second.
I thought that was the closest form of racing when it comes to qualifying. Wow, that's unreal.
We're just making it interesting
Good
today.
job for Bliss. I'll tell you, that's great.
Excellent run for Mike Bliss as he is in the number 2 spot. Now we're taking a look at the number 41 of David Stremme. Who's the boss in his house? We talked to him about it.
I'll call him on the phone, and my mom will give me more crap than my dad will about, like at Atlanta, I lost a couple spots at the end. She's like, what are you doing? How'd you let him by there? I'm like, normally a mom's kind of scared or whatever, but that's more my dad. He goes through a lot of tums, and my mom's kind of the relaxed one and ends up, chewing my butt most of the time if I don't do well.
How was it in your family? Who was more nervous?
My mom and dad are both super nervous, and my wife, Patty, she's probably sitting home right now going, when Steven got loose, she probably freaked out. She gets real nervous, too, I'll tell you. Those mothers, they get nervous.
Whoa, David Stremme turns in a spectacular lap, 28.8 seconds at 166.5 miles an hour.
Does it on lap 1.
That's a surprise. That's a strong qualifying run. I'll tell you guys, it's not much of a surprise, though. We talked about how strong Stremme was going to be. Talked to Carl Edwards. Edwards says the one I'm worried about is Stremme. This 41 car, they won this race a couple years ago with Reed Sorensen driving the car. Stremme flat got it done here.
And if we had Tom Carnegie, the voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he'd be able to bellow in that baritone. It's a new track record. And it is.
Who's that guy Pocono used to say, and he's getting faster with every turn of the wheel.
166.5 miles an hour. David Stremme, your new provisional pole sitter. What a tremendous run for Stremme.
Went right to work, too. Got it on the first lap. That's impressive.
Now, he must have had so much confidence to shut it down, not even run a second lap. I mean, I would have thought he'd run a second lap.
Well, Brian Patty, his crew chief, may have told him that his lap time there, and he thought, man, I don't think I want to go for any more than that.
So they knew they had it, and they parked it. Right now, we've got Eric McClure, and that's a tough act to follow.
Sure is. Stremme, the only guy in the field to run just one lap. The whole field's run all first and the second lap. That's a lot of confidence. And the good call on Brian Patty's part to say, hey, man, that's a big number you just laid out. If you feel good about it, let's bring it in.
So you can see Eric McClure, his first lap, not that good. 30.4 seconds. That puts him 35th out of 38 cars that have taken times. And the bar graph is sinking fast.
Yep, it's going the wrong direction. But, again, he'll be in the field. He's going to make it.
28-year-old out of Chilhowie, Virginia. Find out if he can improve as he comes across the stripe. And no, not actually. He stays almost the same, a tick slower, so he stays in the number 35 position. Let's check in with Alan Bestwick. He's caught up with Mike Bliss,
who was second when he got out of his car and then quickly found out he'd been bumped to third. But Mike, brand new ride for you, just a race old. You come to a race like this, what are your expectations on the day? Did you think you'd be this far to the front?
Probably not. I mean, I've been watching, and I ran, Bristol for these guys, and Paul Wolf's pretty dang smart. He's doing a great job over there. He's the crew chief on this, and this Family Dollar Dodge, every time I've gotten it, has been really good. We unloaded real good. I think our race setup is probably just as good as our qualifying effort. So I'm excited. I always like Nashville. That guitar just is that bait that always makes you come back, and I hope we can get this Family Dollar Dodge right in victory lane. It'd be great.
You'll have a good starting spot for it, that's for sure. Mike?
Alan, when David Strumming got out of the car, he said he could have done better. Can't imagine how. Where'd you leave something on the table?
Well, there's still a few cars left. I'm not going to tell you. But we just want to put in a solid lap, and there's no reason to try to push it anymore. You know, the Winter Fresh Cars is here on a cold day doing well, and just real proud of all the guys in the shop. They built this brand new car. The 41 team here has had kind of a rough year. They haven't had much luck, and I told them that hopefully I can bring them some. And again, we're just here having fun and trying to get a guitar.
Well, Marty, it looks like David Strumming's giving his mother at least.
Yeah, while you finish up with David, poor Kyle Krizeloff just parked it nose first into the wall, and that was in turn 2, and you could just see it happening.
Yeah, he just drove it in there, and call that loose end. The car just stepped out. The back wheels didn't.
Ow, you okay? Yeah.
It's going to be real frustrated.
Now we're going to have some downtime because obviously the radiator popped. We've got fluids getting all over the racetrack. Let's take another look.
We see him drive right down in there on the yellow line. Kind of like we saw Stephen Wallace, but his car just snaps on around, catches that soft wall, safer barrier. See the radiator fluid coming out.
Yeah, like Marty, what you just said now, Shane Huffman is our next qualifier to go out in the Navy car. The track's full of water. Let's take a look at this again. Whew. That is nose in first. I'm glad that car spun around the way it did and not get driver's side first.
Yeah, he was lucky enough to just catch the front instead of the driver's side.
So the 21-year-old, who is the grandson of Mary Holman George, will struggle back to the pits. They'll try and get that fixed. His first lap put him 28th. There's your top 10 in qualifying with just a few cars remaining.
NASCAR Busch Series qualifying at Nashville, brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And Waste Management, from everyday collection to environmental protection. Think green, think Waste Management. You see the 14, Kyle Krizeloff, who had a crash in qualifying. You see the backup now getting loaded off the track. And this gives us a chance to come back into the pit studio. I'm Eric Casilius, Brad Doherty, Stacy Compton aboard. Stacy, we hear this is an impound race. How does that affect the drivers? How does that affect the teams? And can you explain what that really means?
Well, Eric, what happens is on the Cup side, you see the guys able to change things, make qualifying runs with a completely different setup. In the Busch Series, they don't let you do that. You've got to basically start the race with what you practice. You've got to qualify and start the race. They let you make minor changes, not a lot. You can adjust a track bar. You can adjust some wedge. You can adjust air pressure. So what you're seeing is a lot of these guys are extremely free for qualifying. They've got to be free for qualifying to be really good in the race. In turn, you're seeing some guys slipping and sliding pretty bad.
I don't care if it's an impound race or any other kind of race. David Stremme said 1 lap, that's all I need. I set the track record in qualifying. Brad, what do you think of Stremme?
Well, Stremme's done a great job, and he's done well this year. This is his 4th race, and at Vegas, he did a super job. Outside pole, finished 5th, and he's a veteran of the series. It doesn't surprise me at all. He's also a very, very formidable Cup driver. So David Stremme did a great job, and I look for him to be a big challenge today during the race.
Anxious to see how he does against Carl Edwards in this race as we start getting closer, as we get going on. All right. We still have to get the track cleaned up, still have some guys who are going to need to qualify, and we'll still haven't decided who's going to be our pole setter. All that coming at you next.
He's good at calling.
Reminder, the green flag drops later today, and coverage starts at 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD. Action from this concrete super speedway only a few hours away, and for more information, you can log on to ESPN.com. Now let's go back up to the booth and join the 3 guys who are going to call the race later today.
Yeah, and actually that's bad news for Kyle Krizeloff in the 14 car, because obviously the crash, they have to go to the backup. Let's talk a little bit about first David Stremme. You see the run we had earlier. He set a new track record.
That car looks fantastic on the racetrack, Marty. I mean, it's it just looks so low to the ground getting around the racetrack, Andy. You can tell that the Ganassi organization has done a great job with that car.
Yeah, we got a call that Chip's watching, and like he's real happy. He's up and down in the chair.
Yeah,
Chip, look at me, eyeball. You're weak, man. You sit at home. These guys are out here freezing their brains out. And I know you got the stomach hanging out. You got a cold beer going on, probably a Coors Light, right?
Ooh, it's a little early for that.
No, not for Chip. It's not.
You're going to get a phone call.
No. I tell you one thing you did do right, though, put Strummy in that car. That guy's been so much better this year than he was last year in the Cup car. You can see that he's really getting better and better, Andy.
He's better in everything he's been in. He's been fast every week, and it's just a matter of time, I think, before he wins. And he looks like, this is the first time he's driven in the 41 car and worked with Brian Patty. And these guys got a great setup for this racetrack, so I expect them to really be good.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenge facing Kyle Krizeloff and his crew.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. They only got about 3 hours now before the race. Hopefully they've prepared their car well, and they've got it ready to go on the racetrack. And if they do, it won't be too bad of a deal. But these guys, they've wrecked a few race cars. They've wrecked one in Atlanta trying to get their lap back under caution. And so they've had some bad luck this year. This is just kind of adding to it.
In fact, that car, I believe that was the exact same car that he did wreck at Atlanta. And talk about bad luck, that's something. Now, the guys that probably a little concerned, what about Shane Huffman? He goes out next. They got to get all that water cleaned off that track, all that debris. I know as a driver, you always hope that the track is clean, it's prepared for you, because he wants to get a good qualifying lap out, too. We got Timothy Peters coming up, and
yeah,
we got 21 car.
We only got 2 Chevrolets left to try to get in the top 10. Right now, their best Chevrolet is 13th, so they're hoping this track's clean. I think they're going to take Shane Huffman out there to look at the racetrack and make sure he says it's okay to go out.
Let's check in now with Alan Bestwick.
With one of the Chevrolet drivers who's already run, that's Scott Wimmer. 13th fastest, Scott. The guys were just talking about the fact that the Chevys aren't faring as well today as we normally see. Anything connecting that to this particular track?
Well, we worked a lot on race setup and our qualifying setup. It was good. I think it probably could have got a little more, but the car is really good in race trim. No sense in tearing it up in qualifying. And the race is a big picture, and if we can start somewhere in top 15, I think we'll be all right.
You talked coming into this weekend about the fact that the first race at this speedway when it opened, you fell in love with the place, and you feel like it's the perfect track for these stock cars. Why?
Well, I just think we put our best racing on mile tracks. If you look at Phoenix and Milwaukee and these tracks, I think we just put on great races here. Aerodynamics helps, but it's not as key as some of the mile half tracks we go to. And just concrete racetracks. I fell in love with these places like Bristol and Dover. And I'm fortunate Nashville's concrete. I like the old fairgrounds too, but this place is pretty cool.
The question will come up throughout your time in this car as you share with Jeff Burton. He's having quite a bit of success in this car. You get to climb in on some races when he doesn't work the weekend. Does it put pressure on your shoulders, or is that a fun thing with a car that you know is capable of winning?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Pat Smith and all these guys do a great job, and they've worked with Jeff quite a bit in the past, so they got a pretty good communication level down. We're working on that, and we're getting better. I was fortunate up at Richmond. Jeff let me drive the car up there Wednesday just to get some more communication with these guys. And, Richard's getting me as much seat time as he can. He's getting me with these guys as much as he can. And, the first couple of races, I think we've only run 3 together, and we've had pretty good finishes. These next 4 or 5 should be real well for us.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Scott Wimmer, he'll be in that 29 cars, 13th right now. And let's go to the guy who is currently the pole sitter with Vince.
Yeah, David Strimmy took just 1 lap, and it was a good one. Did you expect it to be as good as it was first time lap out?
It was a lot better than what I thought. Yesterday we did a run, and our car's really not set up to run fast at the beginning. And it's a really good race car. It runs good in race trim, and with these impound races, it's kind of hard. And my car, I have to watch getting into one on new tires because it'll drag a little bit and it'll shoot you up the track. But we kind of put down a lap there, and like I said, I thought it could be a lot better. But the thing you got to look at is on these impound races, if we'd have went for a little more and wrecked a car, only got 3 hours to turn a car around, like the last guy just wrecked. I mean, you throw out all your practice, everything, all the hard work that these guys have done on the Wrigley's car to prepare it for this race, and it stinks. So that's one of the things that runs through your mind. That's why I said, I'm good. I'm going to just shut it down, and if we lose the pole to the last couple of guys, then we do. But the main picture is to try to get the guitar.
So that 1 lap was your idea. Brian Patty, the crew chief, didn't tell you to shut it down after the 1.
I mean, he did, but I was already shut down, and it's something where qualifying is what it is. I mean, I wasn't really looking to try to get the pole. I'm more looking at the race and just running and trying to be good over the long run. And, Carl has a really good car. Bobby Hamilton Jr. has a good car. But some of these other Busch guys, I mean, they're stepping up, and you know, you can't count them out. So other than that, we're just here, going to have fun, going to watch ARCA race a little bit. But, hey, I'll give you a piece of gum, too.
We'll take that.
Yeah, that way. You know, it is cold here, and this weekend we run the winter fresh car, so we ordered a little cold weather.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite fitting. And remember, Brian Patty, the crew chief, his 41 car won this race a couple of years ago with Reed Sorensen driving. Eric?
Thanks, Vince. You see, they're still getting that track ready. 3 more drivers still trying to qualify and ultimately take the pole from David Stremme. And you just heard David Stremme, Stacy. 1 lap only. Why wouldn't they go 2 laps? What's the downside of going 2 laps? What else could be at play here?
Well, I think the downside is you can wreck your race car. Probably what has happened is Brian's notorious for bumping air pressures up and trying to get the best out of the tires on the first lap. Second lap, air pressure builds up, the car starts skating around. You may not run as quick on the second lap. I have a feeling he had the air pressure real high, trying to get it on the first lap. Probably had the car completely taped off, doing it all in 1 lap. They ran a good lap. He didn't want to take a chance on crashing on the second lap. It was a good move.
Yeah, he didn't want to take a chance. And like we heard Stacy say earlier, you know, track position at this racetrack is very important because it is a groove and a half racetrack. So guys are a little bit tedious. They go out, they run that first lap, if it feels good, they're going to shut them down and get out of the way so they have their race car to race.
Now let's go back out to the track and check in with Mike Massaro.
Well, Eric, I'm not sure if I'm talking with the driver, Boris said, or the ESPN analyst, Boris said. He's wearing the letters on his sweatshirt. Sits 18th on the scoreboard right now. What are your observations so far here during qualifying?
I mean, the same guys that were fast in practice are fast in qualifying. So, you know, we're getting better and better every time I go out in the in our car, in the Stanley Tools car. So, you know, hopefully I can improve in the race. And I think we got a really good race setup. So, you know, I thought I'd be in the top 20. That's what I was hoping for in qualifying. So, you know, if I can get a top 10 or top 15, I think everyone at Evernham Motorsports would be happy. But you always want to win.
The cold tires, obviously an issue here during qualifying. How about the opening laps of the race? How do you have to approach them knowing that you and many others out there will be on cold tires?
Well, other than that, too, you're going to have the ARCA race right before ours with a different rubber. So the Hoosier rubber kind of makes these cars a little squirmy. They slip and slide a little bit. So I think hopefully everyone will be a little cautious for 5 or 6 laps, and then after that it'll be flat out.
David Stremme, very fast, one of the Cup regulars. Also, everybody looking at Carl Edwards as potentially the heavy favorite today. How open is the door to a non-Cup regular to potentially breaking through to victory lane this afternoon?
It's open. I mean, they have the best chance they've had all year. I mean, Todd Cleaver's been running really fast all weekend, too. He's probably the best non-Cup guy that could do it. But, I mean, to beat Carl is going to be tough here. He was really fast in practice.
Don't sell yourself short. You're one of those guys, too.
Well, am I an analyst or a driver? I'm not sure. It was so cold in Connecticut last week, I had to buy this sweatshirt.
And it looks good on you. Guys?
Notice he said the operative word there was buy. How did he not get that one for free? Hey, if you're just joining us here at the bottom of the hour, we're at Nashville Superspeedway. We're in a bit of a delay because Kyle Krizeloff hit the turn 2 wall. David Stremme has set a new track record as we reset you with our NASCAR.com reset. It is a lap of 28.8 seconds and put him squarely in control of the field. Marcus Ambrose is in second at 29.3 seconds. Of the top 10, Dodge holds the first and third positions. Toyota's in the 5th position with David Ruderman, and 7 out of the top 10 are Ford. There is not a Chevy to be found, and Rusty, I know you want to correct me because it was 28.9.
Well,
Marcus's
if we don't correct them with those guys from Ambrose, they're trying to beat us up, Marty. I mean, they're going to say those guys are idiots.
Well,
we didn't run a 29.34, we ran a 28.97.
There you go. It was lap number 2. I was looking at lap number 1, and we stand corrected. So that's our reset there. The guy's still waiting to go out. Shane Huffman's going to be first, and they're still cleaning up the track. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, familiar face of the Busch Series, Jason Keller made your way back in. 402 career starts, second all-time. What brought you back, Jason?
Well, the love of this series brought me back, and the guys at Bruco and the Codnell brand wanted me back. So it's you know, I've acted like I haven't missed it, but missed it badly, and it's really glad. I'm glad to be back, and glad to be back with a great situation, and got a pretty good hot rod too. A little bit rusty in qualifying, but that was to be expected, but really excited for the race.
What are you looking forward to the race, and do you have any nerves? It's been a while.
Had little butterflies yesterday before first practice, but they're cleared out now. But you know, I just want to get in. We've tried to build some adjustability in the car, and I just want to get in and be competitive. I really know this team is competitive. I know I got the juices flowing, the competitive juices flowing. So just looking forward to really, really good things, and my hopes are high, and looking forward to today.
All right, Jason Keller. Alan?
With Dave Blaney, who effectively is second in NASCAR Busch Series points, the guy who stands between him, the couple guys who stand between he and Carl Edwards are not racing here this weekend. Dave, are you racing for the Busch Series championship?
Well, right now the plan is to run them all, and hopefully that that goes through. And I think it will. Our Bron car's been strong a little bit, and then we've struggled the last couple, so hopefully we'll be good today. We had a good car in practice yesterday, and went out there and just slid around qualifying and didn't get a good lap, but don't matter come race time.
The Toyota's struggles in the Nextel Cup Series have gotten a lot of attention, but in the NASCAR Busch Series, you are effectively second in points and been running well, won a race already. Last fall, it wasn't a Toyota then, but you've been very competitive. Finished, what, second at Daytona? Wasn't Daytona. I'm struggling for my thoughts. I'm so cold. And you are too. But the Toyota's been running better in the Busch Series. Why the difference between the two?
Well, the Busch engine is very good, but the Cup equipment is good too. Our engines are very good over there. It's just it's tougher over there, and the Cup side it's hard to compare. The Busch cars of mine and Leffler's and Rudimant's. Well, we're in the race every week, so we get a chance to run good. And in the Cup side, the Toyotas are mostly new teams, and it's hard just to make the show to show what you got. So, equipment-wise, the Cup side's good too. We're just having a harder time showing it.
Thoughts on the race for later this afternoon today?
Well, I don't know. I've never raced here before, so it's a new one to me, and I don't know how to play out. I just watched some on TV, but like I said, my car I thought was good. It felt good to me. Ran some pretty good lap time, so we can just go by that. And no matter how fast you go, you just got to be a little faster than everybody else. So I don't know. We'll just run as hard as we can go and see where we end up.
Thanks for the time, Dave Blaney, and we go to Mike.
Alan, you just heard Boris Said say that if there is a non-Cup regular who could break through to victory lane today, he's #1 candidate. This guy right here, Todd Cleaver, 10th on the scoreboard. Got to be feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Our car was just a little too loose in qualifying, trying to go fast. We were a lot like Carl in that sense. Just couldn't get it tightened up enough. This place is, in race trim, it's really tight. It's got so much grip, it's hard to get your car free enough. So I hope that means we'll be good for the race. Carl's pretty unstoppable right now, though. I mean, our setups were real similar, and we were just a little bit slower than he was in practice, so we went over there and picked their brain and kind of came up with the changes that they had that made a difference, and we went with them too. So I don't know. We'll see what can happen. Eddie and the guys have done a great job with our number 16 3M Ford Fusion. Can't thank them enough, and thanks 3M for supporting me this long. And who knows? Maybe today is the day. Maybe not. I don't know. Carl's pretty tough, but we'll see. I'd like to play the guitar.
That's true. We will see in about 5 or 6 hours. What do you think, Jamie?
Well, we'll see. I guess that's coming up here in a couple hours. But, Bobby Hamilton Jr., it's a big weekend for him. This track is right in his backyard, and it's been a big part of his family for many years. And, Bobby, you went out there in qualifying run yesterday. You didn't get a qualifying run in practice. Are you happy with the outcome?
We're tickled to death with the qualifying stuff. We were super loose. We couldn't even hardly hold on to it. But you have to be that way to run so fast on long runs. So we have a really, really, really fast McDonald Ford Fusion. I mean, it's really fast. I mean, I think I have as good a shot as ever at this thing here, and Carl's, and he's pretty quick, but I think we're as good as he is. So a lot of those guys that are ahead of us, they were really, really tight, which of course you put stickers on, they're going to run fast. And but overall, Timberland Pro, Smithfield, and everybody involved in this deal, I mean, we're getting it better every week. You can see the progression. I know we can. Hopefully you guys can too. But we're sitting 10th in points, and it's a lot of pressure here, but at the same time, I love this place. Andy Petrie brought a Cup car down here for me to run like 500 laps on a motor deal, and you wouldn't believe how much I learned. So a lot of this success goes to you, buddy.
All right, there you go, Andy. But also, Bobby, talking about it, this is a big weekend for you. It's an emotional weekend. First time your dad hasn't been here. How are you dealing with the emotions?
I mean, it's when you think about it. I mean, they're going to do a little deal for my dad here and everything, and it's good emotions. It's not the bad stuff. It's not anything that you remember those good moments as far as when he was winning all those races in that car, or you remember so many fans come up and tell you stories I didn't even know. My mom said, "Well, I remember that," or "I remember this," and I'm like, "Really? I didn't even know that." I mean, that's just the type of person he was. And but overall, we have a job at hand, and that's to win this race or be really, really strong or have a top 5 or top 10. I owe that to McDonald's and Smithfield and everybody. So it's just one of those deals you put it in the back of your mind when you leave here. I'll pass his house going home. That's really, really hard because you want to go knock on the door. I know he's in there, but and it's not. So you got to get over that. You got to go on with life. But today, I'm in a fast race car, and I'm going to go after Carl and those guys and get me a guitar.
All right. Bobby Hamilton Jr., guys, done everything at this track except win. Maybe he can end that today, Marty.
Well, that's for sure, because in his 7 prior races here at Nashville, he has led in 6 of those events. And, I mean, he has had a good car.
There's nothing like being on your home track, home field advantage, they call it in a lot of sports. But what he was talking about there, we brought a car here one time to test some new engine pieces we had, new engine package. And we ran just a ton of laps, and I'd almost forgot about Bobby did a lot of the driving for that, and so he's got a lot of laps on this racetrack too.
And Bobby getting his picture taken with a fan, as it is a big weekend. Jamie, get out of the photo. We caught you there. And we're in a delay because of Kyle Krizeloff, and he mentioned the celebration of Bobby's life. That's the car that they're going to put out on the track.
Yeah, Bobby's driven all kinds of cars. That looks like one of the earlier ones, but he had success in a lot of different divisions: Truck Series, Cup Series, Busch Series too.
And there is Bobby's biographical information. His hometown, of course, right here in Nashville. And if you watch Days of Thunder, yep, Bobby was in that, did a lot of the stunt work. Rookie of the Year and Nextel Cup in '91. 4 Nextel Cup career wins, and of course the 04 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. And Bobby Sr.'s last win, I think, was your first.
Yes, it was my first win. I'll tell you, that was a real special day for me. And Bobby and I shared a special moment after the race when I flew up on his hood and banged on the windshield, and we were looking each other eye to eye. It was very special.
Great moment, and as we will celebrate Bobby's life right before the start of today's race. All right, we have 39 qualifiers so far. Still a few cars to go through the process, and we're still cleaning up from Kyle Krizeloff's crash in Turn 2. Let's show you the provisional starting field as it stands right now, with David Stremme in the Dodge on pole, and then there's Marcus Ambrose. You can see the manufacturer logo right beside each one of them. You're going to see an awful lot of Fords, guys.
You see a lot of Fords and Dodges. You don't see any Chevys yet.
I just think that's a coincidence, guys. I really do. I believe that these guys just got the cars hooked up. The Dodges have been good cars, good Busch cars. I've really never understood why the Dodge group has not supported the Busch Series. They're in Truck and they're in Cup. They're not in the Busch Series, and they need to wake up and get involved in this series, I think.
Yeah, it's a great series, and you see all the manufacturers are here. You got Jason Leffler in the 38 in a Toyota in row 6. You got Dave Blaney also in a Toyota in row 7.
And then we had a chance to talk to Boris Said. There he is.
Ruben Pardue. What about Ruben, man? I really like him. You just popped a big number up, Andy. We didn't expect that at all because he didn't get much practice at all.
He was just out of nowhere. I tell you, that really surprised me.
We'll see how he races in just a matter of a few hours. Let's go on further back. Richard Johns, we told you about his story, his first ever Busch Series race. He started out as an intern, and now he's going to get his chance.
Yeah, sure is. That's good for him. J.J. Yelly right now showed in back row right there. You see 15th row and outside. Now, J.J. was the first qualifier. He went out there, and I really think he got a raw end of the deal. The track was cold. He got on that Hoosier tire. He was the first guy out. He slid all over the racetrack.
Yeah, he was the first one to test it out for everybody, and kind of like we said, a guinea pig when he went out early.
Brad Coleman on the inside of row 16, on down through to Mike Harmon, who right now is listed in 40th, although he has not officially taken a qualifying run.
I think he's decided not to take a qualifying run, so they're showing him as the last place qualifier.
So there you see the trucks. They are almost finished with the cleanup process in turn number 2. So stay with us. We've still got a few cars to go, and we'll show you one more look at the reason why we had this delay. Poor Kyle Krizeloff really bent it up hard in turn number 2 on his second lap.
That's a hard impact.
Genseth picks up his 4th career win at California Speedway.
NASCAR fans are not in Martinsville anymore.
I mean, that was no good, low, nasty, dirty driving.
Burton squeezes high. They are door to door. Jeff Burton takes the win, and Kyle Busch slams the wall. Kyle Kyle Busch now back in 15th because of a lug nut. Jeff Burton will sail out of turn 4 and win his second in a row.
That's twice I've got stumped today because of lap cars.
Carl Edwards takes the victory.
Certainly been a great season so far. Controversy, great finishes, backflips. You've seen that we've had now 5 different winners in 6 races. Jeff Burton, your only repeat champion so far through a half a dozen races. And I'm hearing the guys talk about the season, and we've heard the interviews, all our guys talking to different drivers, and I keep hearing Carl Edwards, Carl Edwards, Carl Edwards. David Stremme did just set the track record in qualifying. Brad, are these guys giving Carl Edwards too much respect?
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I liked the last interview with Bobby Hamilton Jr. He said he's going to have to win him a guitar. I mean, it's obvious. Carl Edwards has the race team, he has the equipment, and he is the driver to beat. But I think for the competitors, each week you need to step up and have your eye on the prize. I'm tired of hearing about this. Isn't the Carl Edwards Invitational? Each one of these guys have to come and bring it. And so I'm not worried about Carl Edwards if I'm a driver. I'm worried about me. I'm getting to the front.
Stacey, too much respect for Carl Edwards among the guys?
Too much.
I don't know if you can have too much. I mean, Carl, obviously, he can get it done. But still yet, I think it helps the drivers when we're sitting here saying Carl is the man to win, Carl's the man to win, because all it does, it makes the rest of the competitors get hungrier, meaner, and madder, saying, hey, we're going to go out and win this thing today. So it's going to be curious at the end of the day. Carl definitely has a good race car. But, hey, there's a bunch of good race cars out there. I'm going to be curious to see how this thing unfolds.
David Stremme did set the track record in qualifying. This is an impound race, so what does that mean and how does that affect what the guys are doing? Let's go out to our cutaway car and our crew chief, Tim Brewer.
Hey, thanks, Eric. One of the most important things you're going to be able to manipulate today is the tape on the grill. The guys are going to tape the grills up 100%, stick the nose of the car, but after they qualify, they're going to come in here and open this area up. Another thing they're going to adjust, most important thing, air pressure in the tires. You're going to drop these air pressures down about 7 pound here, about 10 pound over there, get the car a little bit more grip during the day. Now, another thing they're going to let you manipulate in the impound area is this is a wedge bolt. You're going to turn this bolt down one round, put a little bit of wedge in the left rear of this car right here. You can go over here on the other side of the car and manipulate the track bar. This is going to raise and lower location, which will tighten and free the car up. Then in the impound area, they're going to let you manipulate this wedge bolt. Those are the only things NASCAR is going to let you get away with, especially for a day like today. But the cars are going to be very sensitive. You're going to see a lot of people putting rubbers in and out of the springs and manipulating air pressure all day to keep up with the racetrack. Back upstairs, you guys, Marty.
All right, thanks, Tim. As you can see, we've got a lot of cleanup still going on, and there's good reason for this.
Well, it's to get the track just as clean as they can, because it wouldn't be fair to send these guys out on a track that wasn't totally clean. And we saw it made a big mess. These guys are taking a lot of time getting it clean, making sure these guys have a good, honest, fair chance to qualify their race car.
I'll tell you what, guys, that was an unbelievable amount of oil and water that Kyle Krisloff took down. Look at that corner. It is absolute mess. We were watching a little while ago. They have had so much oil dry down there. They were scrubbing it with brooms. They were blowing it off with jet dryers, and they still can't get it to where they need to have it. If I was Shane Huffman, I'd be concerned about that.
Take one more look at the crash. Kyle Krisloff in the 14. That was his second lap, and he nosed it in hard, and you can see all the fluids dumping.
Yeah, you see all those, that's water and oil coming out of there, and because these cars got oil coolers right up in front of the radiators or behind the radiators, so when the radiator busts, it's likely the oil cooler busts also, and so you get all this fluid, oil and water mix. And it looks like even the best efforts they're going to make to try to clean this racetrack up is probably still going to be somewhat of a disadvantage for the guys coming up.
Well, the only other incident we had so far this weekend was yesterday in the final practice. It involved Mike Wallace. Jamie Little has caught up with him.
First lap out, he pancaked it into the wall, Mike Wallace, but you were able to come back and put in a qualifying effort. How are you looking now going into the race?
Well, I think I'm in good shape. I really am. I mean, we had a good first practice session yesterday and changed some springs under front of the car in the second practice that wanted to try to get to travel a little bit more. And it did successfully travel more until it bottomed out hard enough that it slid up the racetrack and hit the wall. But they tuned the car up and went out and just took a conservative qualifying lap. You know, sometimes after something like that happens and you're listening to everybody say how slick it is, how cold it is, just try to be smart about it, you know. And we were on a couple tenths quicker than I did practicing yesterday. We were going to probably end up in the top 25. Nothing stellar, but doing way better than what I guess Chip Ganassi is. I was listening to broadcast earlier, and Rusty, you got Ganassi drinking a beer all laid out. I heard he called Jamie and said he's working out, not drinking out. So, well, what's the scoop there, Jamie?
I guess something like that. Chip Ganassi is actually getting in shape, and you said the exact opposite, Rusty, but you guys are buddies. You could take it up with yourselves. But Mike Wallace will be seeing you in the field, the veteran here.
Well, thank you very much. Maybe we'll get one of those guitars. That's, you know, these races like this are historical for that part. You know, Rusty's won Bristol a bunch of times, got that really cool trophy. Martinsville's got the clock. Nashville gives a guitar away, and everybody wants a guitar.
It's all about the guitar, Marty.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And practice that strumming. All right, last comment on Chip before we go racing.
Last comment on Chip. I guess I roughed him up too much. What do you think of my buddy, though?
Yeah, you need to turn him loose.
He's great. You ought to see Chip golf. Great golfer. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
He's a good golfer.
I thought all he did was race.
No, he does race, and I'll tell you what, everything he's got's flying. He won the 24 Hours of Daytona. He won the opening race at Homestead, and now his car is on the pole. Whatever they've done during the off-season, they've done it right, and you got to give Chip a lot of credit for assembling this crew of people that he put together. He'll be the first guy to tell you it's just no one-man band over there. It's a lot of good engineers and a lot of good people, and done a lot of good things early so far.
We've still got a few moments before we go back to finish up qualifying. Let's check in once again with Mike Massaro.
Marty, as you know, this is Nashville, and it's a city where many people migrate to, hoping to hit it big and become a star. Well, really no different when it comes to some of these young Busch Series drivers. Curtis Davis is one of them. He's running an abbreviated schedule this year. This is an opportunity to really get some attention. How big of an opportunity do you look at it as being?
Well, it's a first-class opportunity. You know, I got two great car owners, Kevin Delana Harvick, and I got a first-class sponsor in Dollar General stores, you know, and it's the Pepsi 300 here at Nashville. Got Pepsi on the car. There would be nothing any sweeter than to get in victory lane and spray that Pepsi all over my crew guys, you know, and then, of course, strum on that Gibson guitar.
Certainly won't be easy, but the door seems to be pretty open this weekend without most of those Cup regulars being here. Does that give you more of an opportunity to run up front and run with these guys who will be vying for the win?
Yeah, I feel like it does, you know, especially me being on a limited schedule, only running 13 events. You know, it's been a couple weeks since I've been in the car, but I'm working hard. I've been working hard. I've been really, really focused, you know, the whole weekend in the car. We get better each and every time we go out on track. So I'm sure by the end of the race, hopefully the Dollar General Store Chevrolet will be up front, right where it needs to be to contend for that win.
Well, Marty, Curtis Davis has been on a bit of a publicity tour this week. He read books to kindergartners here in Nashville. One of them was The Little Engine That Could. Might be a little bit symbolic for this guy's run today.
Yeah, and I don't know if he can play the guitar, but I know he likes to dance. Here's what we mean.
I'm Curtis Davis. All I did since I was little was race. You know, I didn't go to my high school proms. I went racing. My whole life's been dedicated to racing. And a lot of people sees me and they think I'm all serious. It ain't about that. Off the track, I like going out and dancing. I love to dance. I love to battle people on the dance floor. You know, this is what every kid has dreamed about doing. There's thousands of great race car drivers out there that'll never get the chance. And I'm one of the very few that's fortunate enough to get the chance. I'm going to make it exciting this year.
How in the heck could they have picked Billy Ray Cyrus over Curtis Davis for Dancing with the Stars?
Hey, give that kid a broom. I want to see him dance.
Yeah.
Okay,
Curtis,
here we go. Come on, Curtis.
Curtis, give us something.
Give us a jig there.
Uh-oh.
Okay, here we go.
Got it? Got the camera on? Got the camera on?
Stubbing it out. Curtis Davis, ladies and gentlemen, Dancing with the Stars. Look out, here he comes.
Get on the feet.
Get on the feet. now he's producing.
Oh, we better get on this 88 car right now, Shane Huffman, because he's going to be the first guy to go into turn 2 to see if that racetrack's cleaned off, Andy.
Yeah, he'll be the first to know when he gets down there.
Great stuff. Curtis is a good sport. We're going to find out right now. Here comes Shane. Oh, man, is it wiggling.
Yeah, his track's pretty slick, getting in the corner.
This looks like it's going to be just survival.
Yeah, he's just going to have to feel it out here on this first lap and see what he's got and try not to wreck the car.
See, unlike drag racing, he could have had lane choice.
Well, Marty, the thing I noticed, he got loose going into turn 1 where there was no oil dry, no oil or nothing. I think his car is just flat and loose right now.
Yeah, he was loose entering turn 3 also.
Yeah, and probably not much confidence coming off of turn 2. You saw that oil dry and everything blow up. A lot of debris over there.
Looks a little more stable.
Look at that.
Lap.
31st quickest on the first lap out of 40 cars.
His cleanup crews did the best job they could to get the track cleaned up, but looks like you just can't get it completely clean. You have to get race cars on the racetrack to work that stuff in and get it cleaned up.
Wow. Turns in a very good lap. Moves to the number 12 spot, 29.1 seconds at 164.5 miles an hour. So a big jump to number 12.
Really good job for Shane Huffman, because, Marty, when you go out there with all that oil drying the track, it really rattles your confidence as a driver, especially when you're going to qualify. He drove through it, drove that Dale Earnhardt Jr. prepared car up to the number 12 position. You got to hand it to him.
And that's the highest qualified Chevrolet right now, in the number 12 spot. We keep hearing about this guitar. Alan?
Figure we might as well show it to you. They're getting ready to show it to the drivers in the drivers meeting as soon as qualifying is over. This is the custom painted guitar that they give to the winner. It's a Gibson guitar. Sam Bass, the noted racing artist, designs the paint scheme. It's custom painted for each of the races here. And when someone pulls into victory lane later this afternoon on ESPN2, they're going to hand this guitar to him, and you'll see somebody who probably doesn't know how to play a guitar try and act like he does. But it is one of the most prized trophies in the sport, and there it is. That's waiting for somebody later today.
All right, hey, Alan, Curtis Davis, you had a dance. You going to play the guitar for us?
I'm not dancing for
Come
anybody.
on, man. Look, Timothy Peters out here. This is the car that Kevin Harvick generally drives. Timothy, good short track racer out of the Southeast. Got an opportunity to drive for Richard Childress in the AutoZone car. Let's see what he's got here.
26-year-old out of Providence, North Carolina. And his first lap will put him 23rd at 29.4 seconds at 163 and change.
Yeah, that track's still not 100% as good a job as we saw Shane Huffman do qualifying. That was still a disappointing run for him because he was about 7th in practice and not being able to back that up because the racetrack just wasn't quite there. This looks like a pretty solid lap for Timothy Peters.
And he moves it up to the number 19 spot with a second lap of 29.29 seconds at 163.8 miles an hour.
Good run for Timothy Peters. I'm telling you, it really shakes your confidence when you get out there. And this track, as dirty as it is, Andy, I mean, for a kid to go out there and stand on it, put it 19th after those circumstances he had to deal with, you got to, that's, I'm proud of him for that good run.
Well, let's remind you, the green flag drops later today. Coverage will start at 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD. Action from this concrete super speedway only a few hours away here at Nashville Super Speedway. Last car out on the track right now. Brett Rowe, the last of 42 cars, and you can see that this will be his second Busch Series.